Moto X4, performance, cameras, and battery life. Thanks to stock Android, general performance is smooth without any hiccups. 4G reception is good, and the earpiece is plenty audible for calls even in noisy environments. The compact size of this phone is great, but the slippery back makes single-handed use a little tricky at times. To make life easier, the X4 does have a gesture which shrinks the display to either of the bottom corners of the screen. We liked that the phone doesn't heat up too much even when gaming. App performance is good, and we didn't face any lag during multitasking. Heavier titles like Asphalt 8 and Dirt Extreme ran smoothly. The display's touch response is very good, and we love the vividness of the screen, which is for viewing video content. The speaker gets decently loud for both voice calls and media files, but of course, we miss having a proper stereo effect. The bundled headset is of the in-ear variety and sounds really good. The tonal signature is quite balanced, and the silicone ear tips offer good isolation from ambient noise. You can enable the Talk to Me feature in Moto Voice, which announces incoming calls and texts when you have a headset connected. You can also answer or reject a call by voice commands alone. Another big feature of the Moto X4 is its dual camera setup. It has a 12-megapixel primary camera with an f2.0 aperture and PDAF, and an 8-megapixel secondary camera with a 120-degree field of view for wide-angle shots. You can switch between sensors at any time with the dedicated button in the viewfinder. The main sensor is quick to focus during the day with fairly good detail for landscapes and macro shots. We noticed that at times, under bright sunlight, the camera tends to overexpose scenes, so you'll need to manually dial down the exposure using the ring around the focus reticule. Low-light image quality from the main sensor is also a bit noisy. Wide-angle shots let you capture more of the scene, but this is only useful for landscape shots as it's impossible to get clear close-ups. The quality for images is slightly inferior when taken with a secondary sensor as opposed to the main one. This is most evident in low-light shots. Barrel distortion is also unavoidable with the wide-angle lens. Auto HDR is present, but processing is not very quick. It works well in daylight, but in low light, it's quite sluggish, so it's impossible to get clear shots when you're moving about. You can switch between sensors for video recording, but you need to do this before you hit the record button. Video resolution goes up to 4K, but there's no stabilization, so you often end up with shaky footage even with slight movements. Continuous autofocus is quite slow here. Other shooting modes include 1080p at 60 fps and slow motion 720p at 120 fps. Video shot in low light is a bit noisy.